In the last section, we broke down this line of code right here. Remember, the var name is referred to as variable declaration because it creates a new variable. Then the equals my name is referred to as variable initialization because it assigns a value to that new variable that was just created. At the end of this line, we had a call to the my name function, which was defined down here at the bottom of the file. So in this section, we're going to start to take a look at this function declaration down here. Now, I don't have a terribly large amount to say about functions, mostly because they work almost identically to how they work in just about every other C-style language out there. Every function we create can have a name assigned to it. So in this case, the name of our function is simply my name. After the name of the function, we then place a set of parentheses which denotes the argument list. So anytime we call a function, we can pass in some number of arguments to it. We then have a set of curly braces which form the function body. So inside those curly braces is where we add all the code that's going to be executed anytime we call this function. Now where things start to get a little bit interesting is the word string over here to the left-hand side. So anytime our function returns a value, we can annotate that function with the type of value that is going to be returned. In this case, we are returning a string from the function, so we wrote out to the left-hand side of the function name string because that is the type of value that we're going to return anytime this function gets called. We're going to have a discussion about types in just a second, but before we do, I want to mention one other thing about functions in Dart. Back over here, you'll notice that we had a function called main, and then we had also defined a second function called myName. In general, you and I can name functions anything we wish, but there's exactly one exception to that rule, and that is the main function. In Dart, the main function is a very special function that has to be defined inside of every Dart program that we ever put together. The main function right here is automatically invoked by Dart anytime our program is executed. And so you can kind of think of the flow of operations as being something like this. So we're up here at the top, our program starts up, Dart is going to look over all the code inside of our application and try to find a function called main. If it finds it, it's then going to run it, and from that main function, you and I can add some code to do some actual startup of our application and accomplish whatever our app is really trying to do. Now, one thing I want to mention here is that every Dart program we put together has to have a main function. So for example, if I take this entire main function back here and delete it, and then click run again, you'll notice that I get an error message over here on the right-hand side that says uncaught. And essentially, it's an error message that's complaining that there's no main function defined inside of my project. If I go back to having the main function and run it again, I'll then see the expected output of my name is Steven. So in closing, functions for the most part behave very similar to how they do in just about every other language out there. The one requirement of every Dart program is that we have to have one function called main. The only thing that's kind of unexpected about these functions is that they have to annotate their return type, with the type being listed just to the left of the function name. Now let's take a pause right here. We're going to come back to the next section, and we're going to start talking a lot more about how types work in Dart. So quick break, and I'll see you in just a minute.